Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
104.7 The K, Mike the Intern in the studio this morning with Jay Stevens.
And I'm in a weird
He's
chair
trying to find.
What happened to his chair?
He's trying to find. Yeah,
He's messing with my chair.
I don't know,
like,
man.
Oh man,
You and Ned.
Somebody was sitting in my chair.
You and Ned, dude.
Me and
Different
Ned.
chair heights.
Also,
And every day you both keep coming in, and one of them changed it this way. Who
Is
keeps
it
doing
Ned
this to the
Reynolds?
chair?
give me his bobblehead. Ironically, Ned Reynolds and I are the only two people in this building that have bobbleheads as well.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's also true.
Battle of the bobbleheads.
Dude, that's so funny. All right, Dark Side of the Stream, episode 103. This was my pick this week. It's called Untold, the girlfriend that didn't exist documentary on Netflix, telling the story about Manti Te'o. I knew I was going to do it. Manti Te'o. Did you ever hear about this kid coming out of Hawaii? You're a Hawaii boy.
Yeah, we would hear about him.
What do they call themselves? Lila boys or Liwi boys or
Wailea
boys or something like that?
The football school that he went to is the real strong football school out there. Like,
really?
All the good football kids go to that school and get.
He was a monster, man.
Yeah,
he was a monster.
A long line of family of
yeah, it was like going through
brothers.
like my uncle played for you guys,
they
my
all
dad
were
did this,
a lot of pros.
It was like if you want to get
Sopa.
Wasn't that crazy though? Like he was like, you want to get off this island, the only way to do it, football scholarship. That's it. Yeah. It's just unbelievably dedicated young man who would end up getting catfished by a guy who we'll get into that later.
Like the OG catfish story, right?
This was like the first one. I'm sure it was happening.
It was the first one when everybody goes, "Wait, what are people doing?"
Yeah,
It was a national scale.
Yeah, but it had already been going on for as long as this stuff exists. I mean, there's it's been happening in dark corners of the web for a long time. Have you ever had any interesting Facebook
internet girlfriends?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
girls hitting you up, and
I get a lot of.
I'm sure you get a
day after shows. I get a lot of interesting messages in my inbox. But I actually, years ago when the internet was first coming out, there were chat rooms you'd go in, and I was in a chat room and talking with the girl. Well,
was it ICQ or whatever?
Some girl, where it said she was a girl and sending me pictures, like sending topless pictures, like nice modeling, beautiful girl in Hawaii. She was in Hawaii. I was like, yeah, cool. Then, is she a boy? Is she a girl? Is she faking me? Well, no, talk on the phone. Yeah, legit. And she ended up flying out to LA. And like, she somehow got a hold of my mom and like they set it up and like she just showed up. Thankfully, she was a girl. Yeah, she was pretty sprung for a while.
Okay. So you ended up having a little thing with this chick?
Yeah, some relations. We hung out for a little bit.
Some relations.
Yeah, it was actually the story.
Banged her and then
the
she
story
went back
is
to
way
Hawaii.
more.
The end.
The story is way more complex than that. But I have a feeling we need to tell that story off air because it's a little bit crazy.
Okay, well, we'll just take my version of it.
Yes.
Banged her and she went back to Hawaii.
Yeah,
and
no,
the end.
I don't know where she's at now, but yeah. Anyway, it was a successful catfish story, but I didn't get catfished. I guess. I got floundered.
I met my wife. I met her in person, but the first time I actually talked to her, she requested, it was her birthday, and she hit up the Cave Facebook page, said, "Hey, I'm listening. Can you play this song for my birthday?"
What?
That's how it started. Yeah. And then we started kind of chatting. And then I was playing shows every weekend, like you, like 2 or 3 a week, and she came to one, and that was it.
Well, see, but these are real stories. See, when the catfish thing happens, it's somebody faking,
pretending to be someone they're not. You and I get so much stuff socially. Yeah. It's really hard to. You just kind of have to be. It's like the Reagan thing: trust but verify.
Well,
you know what I mean?
This guy, this Manti Te'o was talking to this chick, and this. If you're calling someone your girlfriend for a long time, and especially in the media and stuff, like he was on a big scale, like. You probably should meet her.
He was a very, very naive person. He was probably a virgin when all this went down. He was definitely sheltered, Mormon, and he was very, very religious. He still is. So yeah, for the normal person like you and me, if we have a long-term relationship with someone, eventually, if after all this time of not seeing them,
you have to meet and hang out in person.
Would kind of, but as the person who pulled the catfish said, I did every trick that you could possibly do. My phone connection's not there. I can see you, but you can't see me, and turn the camera off, stuff like that. And he just believed it because he is a very good person. He wants to believe the best in everybody.
And
you
there
got
was one picture that made you really question it, like, because then wait a minute, that is the girl and that is the date.
When he's like, oh, I want to prove it.
This story, I remember when it happened, and it was crazy. This story is deeper than I thought it was.
It is. And we need to take a break and come back because there's a lot of layers to peel back on this dark side of the stream on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 103, discussing Untold, the girlfriend who didn't exist. So let's switch gears and talk about the person that pulled off the catfish. At the time was a Polynesian male, and
played football as well. His brothers and cousins or whatever were all
same kind of upbringing,
Yeah.
not the same place, and honestly didn't know him, but from a young age, probably wanted to identify as a woman. And instead of just facing it head on and saying, look, going to his family and saying, hey, I want to be a woman, and that's it. That's what I want. Which the crazy thing is, at the end of all this, he goes back to wherever
now,
where it's literally like not looked down upon. Like it's been part of their culture forever. Like you identify, if you're born a man, you can dress like a woman. It's no big deal. It is what it is. That's the way it's been for centuries and thousands of years since in their existence. So whenever and I guess maybe faith had something to do with it, whatever his upbringing, I don't know. But like, to me, at the end of the day, when all this is done, he's like, I went back to Polynesia or whatever the hell it was, and I can just be who I am there. I'm like, that's awesome that you found peace, but why the hell did you do that to begin with? So instead of doing that, decides to create a female persona online and starts acting like a woman through this profile. And that's essentially, I think, how this whole thing starts. Gets man
friend requests,
and builds up a story by connecting some people as family members and cousins and stuff.
It was very slick, man, the whole orchestration.
It was
and they would talk on the phone, and this guy could make his voice sound like a woman. Even so much that the FBI said there's no possible way that's guy.
1 in 8 million chance at this, and
this guy can do
Dr. Phil somehow pays this dude
again. Dr. Phil, Dr. Phil's in the video documentary. You know it's a good one, man.
But he paid this guy a lot of money to get this interview. And again, that's the whole thing about this is this girl, this woman who identifies as a woman now, is garbage. She doesn't feel like I don't think she really has any remorse as to what she did to Manti at all.
Manti Te'o for sure lost out on millions of dollars.
Losing out in the first round of the draft was big.
Losing out. That his head wasn't in the game on that championship game. I think
he finally kind of got back into himself when he went to New Orleans after the Chargers, but like, she had absolutely no remorse in her eyes. And it was almost as if she said, this had to happen for me to become the person I am. Look at the damage you caused to him, his family, all these people for just not being, it's sometimes the simplest thing is the hardest thing, but dude, just do that.
It's a crazy documentary.
Crazy.
The story, everybody probably knows the story because it played out basically on ESPN in real time.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, and I'll say this first of all, like when this happened, I was one of the ones that were like, oh, fake girlfriend, what a cool dude, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
everybody thought he made the story up about his girlfriend that died. And
as a Chiefs fan, I was like, oh, this is even more, because anytime they'd play the Chiefs, I was making jokes about that dude all day.
Well, dude, and I would play online poker at the time, and on online poker, you have screen names, for your avatar.
That was your...
And a screen name at a table, though, was fake dead girlfriend.
Dude,
somebody's name was fake dead girlfriend.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere. It was
and
famous.
I will say to him, if Manti, if you're listening, I'm sorry, bro, because I didn't really know the scope of this whole thing.
Oh yeah, this documentary really goes deeper.
And you can say all you want as far as, well, how could he be so stupid and not check this stuff out? Again, he was a naive person that wanted to trust, and he obviously didn't have a whole lot of romantic relationships. He had a connection with someone, and when you're in a relationship and everyone else in the world is saying she's crazy, he's crazy, whatever, you can't, you won't see it.
You don't see it.
All that stuff becomes noise, and you just ignore it, and it's a crazy story. But the people that broke this story had a goal, and I think that's another twisted part about this story. And we'll get to that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 103, Untold, the girlfriend who didn't exist. So Beginning of this guy's senior year, his grandmother really did pass away. And then right out the thing with his girlfriend gets to the point where she
they're
decides
supposed to meet, or
he's
he's
like
okay.
I gotta kill her off. It's over. And this is after she had already told him that she had battled leukemia and survived it and did this whole.
And that's why she couldn't meet the first time.
That is just, I can't believe it kept
so
going
deep,
that
dude,
far.
so deep levels.
So he plays his whole senior year lights out. I mean, he inevitably becomes a finalist for the Heisman Trophy.
They wanted to draft him after his junior year.
Yeah, he said, no, I'm not
money,
done.
and he's like, no, I'm going to go back to school.
Mistake.
Dude,
But he almost won a national.
task,
but he also had the best year of his career that
what if
senior
you get
year.
hurt? Like, take
Again,
the money, man.
that's a chance you take. He
on
almost was the Heisman Trophy winner,
yeah,
and he almost won the national championship.
But Johnny Manziel won the Heisman.
Johnny football, dude, whatever. And again, when they're going through the, he
I don't even know who the third guy was in their lineup. I didn't even know who that cat was. Never even heard his name.
That just goes to show you how
what
you
a
never
terrible
know
lineup that was that year.
You never know what's going to happen with these kids because when he wanted to be in the first round and they're talking about after all this came out and then it completely screwed him in the first round of the draft. You went through the first like 5 to 10 picks.
None of them are in football.
I don't know who they are. I mean, I was like, golly. But anyway, so it doesn't. I mean, yes, he would have made more money in the first round, but again, he did get drafted by the Chargers. But before all this happened, when the news broke, Deadspin was the one that broke it because I guess someone had sent them an anonymous email saying his girlfriend is fake. Still don't know who that is. Could have been the guy who did it. Could have been a cousin.
ESPN really played up the story of, man, you went back to school, your grandma died, then your girlfriend died. It was a big deal.
Everyone took it. Everyone took it. And from Deadspin's perspective, and I agree with what they were trying to do. Because they want to make media outlets like this big look like idiots. We're not doing their due diligence and actually fact checking all this stuff. No one had done that. An entire season of football went through, and not one person went and said, let's find out who this girl was. Let's actually do the due diligence that we're supposed to do as reporters. Now, let me ask you, has it gotten better or worse, do you think?
No, probably
No,
worse.
It didn't. And instead of these media outlets who had been running wild with this the crazy emotional story about this guy who lost his girlfriend and his grandma, and then they come to find out it's been a hoax about the girlfriend, instead of saying we screwed up, no, they just turned it all on Manti. Dude. It was just
lied
like
about
boom, this guy, he's the one. Which again is another screw up. I mean, it's like, golly. He didn't do anything wrong. The only thing he didn't do was he lied to his parents about meeting this because they are all, I'm sure, like us. And he was like,
suspect.
But then at a certain point, what is he supposed to say? They had all talked to her on the phone, family members, stuff like that. And so then once he finds out that it's fake because he calls him again and says, hey, I'm still alive, by the way.
That's when he really screwed his head right before the national championship game.
What the hell is going on?
Now what do I think?
Yeah, he couldn't do anything. Couldn't say anything. He just had to let it go.
Brutal.
And it sucks because he's, again, you got to think about this, dude. That kid's 22, 21, 22. I mean, we've done worse stuff. You know what I mean? And this guy did not deserve any of this. Didn't deserve us making fun of him. Didn't deserve the blowback. He was a well-disciplined, finely tuned athlete who busted his butt to get where he was, to have it all taken away because someone wanted to be selfish. And that's the end of the story. And then again, a bunch of news corporations wanted to be selfish.
It's crazy, man. It's deeper the story than I remembered it being.
Me too. And that's why I'm glad I guess I picked it because I wanted to know, because you only hear little pieces of it through what the media tells you. Yeah. But then once you hear it from him,
and it was years ago too,
once you hear it from him, then but he inevitably had an okay career. He ended up getting some injury issues, and being a stud in college football, then going to the NFL is very tough jump to make, even for people like him that were that talented, because it just, so many things have to go right. There's so many people that go into the draft that don't even get drafted that become stars in the NFL because it's just circumstances. Sometimes you peak a little too early. But we'll talk more about our reviews next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 103. Untold, the girlfriend who didn't exist. Yeah. So I was going to try really hard.
How many fake dead girlfriends?
To to not reference that because I feel like it's making fun of him, but what else can we do? It. How about how many reporters that don't check facts?
Okay.
How many
fair enough.
reporters that don't check facts? Would
There's
you give
two
this?
sitting right here in this room.
Yeah. How many times did that happen? How many?
I would go. I'll go 4.5.
Yeah,
I
I'd
liked
say-
it. I liked
say
it.
it
It
was
was a
really
deeper
good.
story, and
Yeah.
it's just a crazy story. Once again, if it was a movie, you'd go, "Come on, that's too fake. That can never happen in real life." And it really did.
It really
so those
did.
are the best type of documentaries. Those twisty ones.
Again, I would agree. As far as the rating goes,
Watch it. It's good.
he got screwed, and the person that did this to him has no. I mean, it's like they were trying to make me feel something for her, and I was like, "You're a garbage human being."
They were trying
You're
to be a little
selfish.
sympathetic.
Every
to
reporter
that
they
person.
had, "You're a garbage human being. Didn't do your job, and you made this kid's life a living hell for years." Now, I had to look it up. I had to see, is this guy married? Hey, dude,
Yeah,
he's doing great.
he's
If
married
you should see his wife's like a fitness instructor.
but good for him.
Holy moly.
He's a lot better looking now than he was.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
was
he
young.
actually-
he's
yeah,
really
yeah,
good
yeah,
looking
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Man,
kind of like became the man he is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
whatever, he's not, I think the
and
last.
he's very well mentally about it. Like he forgives and everything.
Yeah,
Like
he forgives him. He lets it go.
Interesting.
Forgives himself, got into therapy, which he definitely needed.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was a wild ride. And I feel for him, man. You have to. You have
Speaking
to.
of wild ride, the next documentary
What
is
is
an
it?
even more wild ride. Running with the Devil.
Oh yeah.
John McAfee.
Yeah.
A camera crew went while he was on the run.
And they followed him
and
and shot the whole
They
thing.
were shooting in real time, filming this.
Oh, that's gonna be a
while
wild
they were
ride.
hopping countries and stuff illegally. And John McAfee's an interesting character.
Yeah.
And the way it points to is, he had virus software on every computer. So he has information on everybody.
And that's what
so
they
they're
think.
saying this is now why things got so weird. He wasn't crazy. So we'll find out. I started to watch it last night, half asleep, and I have to rewatch what I watched because it is so nuts, the documentary, that being half asleep was no way to try and take this in. So I'm going to start watching it.
Running with the Devil. That sounds great. As always, you can watch these live on Facebook or YouTube every Thursday at 9 a.m. or stream it as a podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app. For Dark Side of the Stream, I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens.
We watch
We watch
documentaries,
movies, so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.